What's up guys, today I'm going to be doing a quick video on adjusting the valve clearance or valve lash on a dirt bike, quad, or motorcycle cylinder head. You can do this with the engine assembled. You can also do it with the cylinder head removed. I'm going to be doing it with removed. If you do the job with the cylinder head installed onto the bottom end, you can remove the timing chain and then you'll be able to do the same exact process as what I do. You're going to need a few things for this job: torque wrench, a magnet, a feeler gauge. You will also need a valve shim kit. Make sure to get one that fits your specific vehicle. There are smaller and larger valve shims for size comparison. The 4-valve is a little bit bigger. The vehicle that this cylinder head goes on is a 2003 Polaris Predator 500. Another thing you will need is some assembly lube or oil to make sure that your parts do not go dry and get scratched while you are doing just this job. And one last thing that you need is a micrometer or a dial caliper. These valve shims are not labeled. There's a few things that you need to know. You're gonna need to know the proper intake and exhaust clearances for your specific cylinder head. For this specific cylinder head, the intake clearance that we're looking for between 0.10 and 0.20 millimeters. The exhaust clearance that we're looking is between 0.22 and 0.32 millimeters. Label each cam lobe. This side with the rubber boot is the intake. This side is the exhaust. The exhaust typically has some carbon buildup, and the exhaust side also runs hotter. That's why it requires a larger valve clearance than the intake. I just like to create a miniature little diagram so I can track down the valve clearances. Now we are going to figure out what each of our valve clearances is. I'm going to start around 0.13 millimeters. 0.13 millimeters feels a little bit tight. For the left side, 0.13 fits. Let's try out 0.10 for the right side. 0.10 millimeters fits. Our valve clearance is off by 0.05 millimeters on this right side. I'll just write down the clearance that we have on each. When using a feeler gauge, it should go in relatively easy but have a little bit of resistance when you're at the right size. See, 0.13 does not fit, and then 0.10 slides in with a little bit of resistance. Let's check the exhaust. For the exhaust, like I said, they typically have larger clearances because exhaust runs hotter than intake. So we're going to start at a slightly higher feeler gauge size. We're already up to 0.30 millimeters. I felt a little bit of resistance, and there we go. A lot more resistance. We are at 0.33. Let's just make sure that 0.35 does not go in. It barely goes in, but it's got a little bit of resistance. It might just be because this one's thick and it's pushing the valve down. And 0.38 does not want to go in at all. We're going to call it 0.35. Once I put the new shim in, I can always make sure that my measurements were correct. Another pro tip setting the clearances: you always want to point the cam lobe perpendicular or up. You don't want your cam lobe to be like that when you're taking the measurement, because if it's angled like that, this side of the cam can actually press down on that cam bucket and give you an inaccurate reading. I know that on some of the Yamaha motors, they've got a decompression pin for making it easier to start and kick over. On those, it's a little bit tough to get this vertical. As long as you're as far away from horizontal as you can be on those Yamahas, which will be about right here, you should be just fine. Now for the final exhaust, 0.30 is already a little bit tight. 0.35 or 0.33, also a little bit tight. Almost there, I can feel it. 0.38 does not want to go in, so we are at 0.35 millimeters. Next step is going to be loosening these cam towers so that we can remove the cam buckets and change the valve shims. In order to loosen these cam towers, go in increments of 1/8 turns. So 1/8 turns in a crisscross pattern. By loosening and starting slowly, we make sure that we do not warp the cam tower or cylinder head during this process. After you've done about 2 passes of 1/8 turn increments, these cam tower bolts should have cracked loose. At this point, you can speed up the process by using an impact Once we've gotten these all loose, we'll pull the cam tower, making sure to be careful. You'll need to shimmy it a little bit. These cams might want to stay with the tower itself because of those guide pins that you'll see shortly. And don't be too aggressive when taking it off. You can absolutely hurt the aluminum journals on these cam towers super easily. You want to make sure that these are all oiled up and not damaged before they go back in. Another thing, make sure to keep track of these dowel pins. On some bikes, they'll like to fall out. For this specific quad, there are 2 of them. You can tell that by the bevel directly on the tops of these bolt holes. You can see a slight chamfer on the bolt holes where dowel pins go. These are your camshaft guide rails. You also want to keep track of these. Next, you can remove your camshafts themselves. And be sure you're working in a clean space with low dust. We're going to go individually and replace the valve shims on each cam bucket. You can use a magnet to get the cam bucket out. This one reads 1.45 millimeters. This one is 0.15 millimeters. We can actually keep this one in. When installing these valve shims back into the cylinder head, you need to put them face down. Makes it a lot easier to read them once you've taken them out. Since that intake valve is within spec, we don't need to touch it. For this one, we need to adjust it. This one is also 1.45 millimeters. Let's do some quick mental math to figure out what size valve shim we'll need to put in place of this 1.45 millimeter valve shim. Since we're at 0.10 millimeters, which is technically in spec, but we want 0.15 millimeters, which is right in the middle, we will be increasing the space between the cam bucket and the camshaft itself. Therefore, we need to reduce the size of this valve shim. This valve shim, which is now at 1.45 millimeters, should be a 1.40 millimeter valve shim. Here we have the 1.40 millimeter valve shim going in place of the 1.45 millimeter to increase the space between the bucket and the camshaft. I like to check off every single valve that is complete so that we know. Next, we're going to do this one. This one does not show us its reading, so we are going to have to measure it on our own using a dial caliper. We're getting about 0.066 inches. 0.066 inches is just about 1.75 millimeters. Since we're at 0.35 millimeters for this right side exhaust, and we want to bring it down to just between 0.22 and 0.32 millimeters, we're going to increase the size of the shim from 1.75 millimeters all the way up to 1.85 millimeters. You can see for comparison, 1.85 is just a teeny bit tinier than the 1.75 that was in it. Again, we're going to place this with the numbers facing down to make it easier for us to read. Place that cam cap back in. Make sure to go lightly as to not damage the cam cap pores. And finally, this one, it's got some lettering on it, but we can't actually read it properly. The numbers have been worn off by the valve. So what we're gonna do, take the dial caliper, do the same thing. This one's at about 0.067 inches, which is, again, just about 1.75 millimeters. We will now replace it with the same exact size, which is 1.85. This one is 1.85. Face down, toss the bucket in, press it in lightly, wobble it to make sure it's aligned properly. Should go in smoothly. Our next step is now we need to reinstall cam tower, torque it down, double check that all of our measurements were correct. Always make sure to install these guide pins back in before you place the cam tower. Make sure that your dowel pins are still in. We're going to start tightening them by hand. These should also be wet with oil. These are already a little bit wet, as you can see. Make sure that they have some oil on them. The torque specs are typically wet for these specific bolts. Double check with your user manual for your bike. I feel confident after hand tightening these that I can safely tighten them down the rest of the way before torquing them with my impact. I always have my impact set to the lowest setting in order to not damage the cam tower when I'm torquing it down like that. Next, we're gonna use our torque wrench using the specified torque value for this cam tower, which in the user manual, 10 Newton meters. We are set to just about 10.04 Newton meters, which is the most accurate it gets on this specific torque wrench. Always tighten these down in a crisscross pattern, making sure not to over torque them. That can be an issue. Now that we've torqued down the cam tower, we can double check our valve lash measurements to make sure that we put the proper sized valve shim on the intake. We are looking for 0.10 to 0.20 for this specific bike. It's different for every single bike. So for the first right side intake, 0.15 millimeters goes in, but 0.18 does not. That is exactly what we were looking for. You always want to make sure that your cam lobes are pointed up. 0.15 goes in, 0.18 does not go in. Our intake side is all good. Now for the exhaust, we're gonna start a little higher here. We'll do 0.23 millimeters to start. 0.23 goes in. 0.25, feeling a lot more resistance. 0.28 does not want to really go in, it's kind of sticking. 0.30, gotta really jam it in there. Should not have to do that. So it looks like we are good for this side. Even if it is 0.28 millimeters, that is completely within spec, and this bike should be good to go. 0.30 does not go in. This bike is good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. If this helped you at all with your own bike build, let me know down in the comments. If you've got any requests for, this should work for pretty much any bike, any quad, as long as you've got one cylinder head with either 5 or 4 valves. This is the typical process. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a good day.